why do day traders, why do swing traders, not necessarily just in the stock market, but really in any financial market, options market, futures market, cryptocurrency market, the penny stock market, any of those markets, why do the majority of traders fail? Why do most traders lose money? That's the topic here I want to talk about. And it's very clear, it's very obvious that some of you are going to say, Clay, the only reason you're saying any of this is to sell the classes that you offer. And yes, I do sell classes, but there is a big belief that I really do believe in what I'm about to talk about. And really the best way I can illustrate that is I'll just put a link down below where I talk about, where and how I learned how to trade. But a little spoiler for that video, at the end I talk about and I go through right around the $5,000 that I spent before I ever got into real estate investing, because I went through what I'm about to talk about here with trading, and it took me way longer and cost me a whole lot more money than it needed to. So when I got into, deciding, I want to develop real estate investing as a stream of income, but I don't want to go through this again. So you know what? I will gladly invest in myself. I will gladly pay, even though you can make the same argument that is going to be made here. And the argument, of course, is, Clay, you're a scammer. Anybody that sells stuff is a scammer. Why would you pay for anything when you have this thing called free information? I mean, Clay, you have the library, you have Google, you have YouTube, you have all those places. And you know what? You're right. I can't sit here and say that you're going to fail if you use free information. But the question really boils down to this. If it were as easy as free information, why are failure rates at 90%? I mean, honestly, a lot of people say it's 95%, but I'll just go with 90%. Why? So why is it so high then? That's really the question. It's not a question of if free information works, because sure, it can work, but why isn't it more efficient? Why isn't it more effective? If free information can work, then why are the failure rates? I mean, I would think we could agree that they should at least be maybe closer to like 50%. I mean, yeah, about half people, maybe 60% of people still fail. But in all actuality, I think you could make the argument, well, if it's so free and everything's out there and that's all it takes is free information, then, I mean, why would it even be half the people that fail if it's just as easy as the logic of, hey, it's all free out there? And again, I don't say this in a demeaning way because I did this. And then when I got in something new, I didn't do this anymore because you start to realize things. So the question becomes, all right, you have all this free stuff out there, but why do so many traders still fail? And the problem becomes not necessarily the amount of information. Because yeah, there is a lot of information out there. And you know what? Sure, there are some big bits of bad information. But you know what? To give credit where credit's due, the majority I see out there is good information, almost. And I'll explain the almost. So let's just say that you somehow, and like I said, keep in mind, when you're new and you don't know what you don't know, this is all random because you don't actually know what would be a good bit of advice and what wouldn't. But let's just say, you know what? You just happen to choose all these different sources. It could be books, it could be YouTube videos. But you know what? You pick out every single bit of good information. Good, slightly. So let's take a look at one of these things here. And this is why I truly believe, and what I discovered and what I figured out was, when I went through this route is, so let's just look at one of these circles here and we're going to expand it. So a bigger view of it right there. But what's going on and what can be a problem? Well, a problem is, you know what? Gotta love liquid markers. The majority of this information is good. I mean, it's good stuff. That's true. Oh yeah, you should do that. I agree, you shouldn't do that. But all over the place. And like I said, this is what I went through. You also have situations where, yeah, the majority of it is good. But then you have this little bit right here. Which now that I do know, because I've been doing this now for over a decade, you just look at and you just go, wait. What? No, that's not true, or that's not what you should do, or oh, that's a bad philosophy, or you just look. And again, I'm not saying that the source is doing it intentionally. I'm not saying that this source of information is doing it maliciously. I'm not saying that. In fact, let's just give them the full credit. Let's say they're doing it out of 100% pure innocence. So there's no malicious intent, but the intent doesn't matter. The fact that matters is it's information that's That just makes you go, wait, what? No. So we think about that. Even if you get a bunch of these, and sure, it's just a small portion of that source, but the thing is, there's so much free stuff out there. Yeah, but if you get a bunch more of these, and that's what I discovered is a lot of these sites, they have just those little slivers, those little areas where it doesn't make sense. And you get enough of these and they add up and they add up. And then there's one bad habit and they add up some more. And there's another bad habit. And then you get, and these bad habits, they could just be little small things. They could be slight little misunderstandings. But you get enough of those slight misunderstandings and all of a sudden you have a big old bad habit. And the way bad habits work, and probably the most common one that I see, is people see some success. They see some success. And then they said, wow, I'm having success. So they either add more money to their account or they increase their position size. But the tricky thing is, it's just those bad habits waiting, and then they just get crushed. And something totally goes back, and they either give back all their gains, or they give back a vast majority, or they give back their gains, plus they start to actually lose money. And their account goes to zero, and you have all these things start to add up. So it's not that there's not good information out there. I would be totally misleading to say, no, there's no good information out there. The only way to learn is you have to pay for my stuff. No, that's not how it works. There's lots of good information out there. But a lot of these good sources, they have that little shred. And once again, I'm not trying to imply that anybody's doing that maliciously. We can say that they're doing it out of pure innocence. Their intent is actually good. But like I said, a lot of these sources, and once again, when you don't know what you don't know, how are you supposed to know? They can lead to some bad things. And then, of course, the other thing that gets people, and I'm just assuming, but even if you were to pick out all these sources, well, then structure matters, right? And really the best way to illustrate that is, let's say you want to learn math. So you go out there and you get all the right bits of math, right? But then it looks something like this, because again, when you don't know what you don't know about math, let's say that you somehow get all the good bits of information, and you know what? Let's also assume that it's actually all good. So there's no, it's actually all good information. Then the problem becomes, and let's say you do this. Well, first you're going to learn about algebra, and then you're going to learn about calculus, and then you're going to learn, count to 10, and then you're going to learn subtraction. You see the problem there? Is even if all these topics are truly good information, if you learn about them in the out of order sequence, then it doesn't matter that they're all good sources, because you're just going to confuse yourself and you're going to think that they're bad sources because this doesn't make any sense. So the logical thought would be, therefore, these must not be good source of information because none of it makes sense. But the problem is just, well, no, the structure's wrong, right? You're learning about them in the wrong order. But like I said, even just putting that all aside, the whole structure thing, this is why. Free, yeah, there's good stuff out there. I can't say that there's not. But there's a lot of good stuff out there that has plenty of this. And when you have those little areas, they're going to add up. And they're going to add up. And then all of a sudden, you have habits forming. And then those habits start playing games with you. And it just doesn't quite work out. So the moral of this is not, hey, so sign up for my training. No, the idea here is just to get you to consider, is it really just easy as all the random free information out there, or is there more to it? Is it worth at least considering maybe investing into a structured source? Maybe that's with me, maybe that's with somebody else. If you feel more comfortable with somebody else and you like their teaching style better, awesome, go for it. But also keep in mind, don't replace teaching style with, oh, look at all these Lamborghinis, big houses, fancy cars, okay? That's called selling the dream, not selling the reality of the situation. And the reality of the situation is, you better be ready to work hard. You better be ready for some blood, sweat, tears, and be ready to hustle and grind, because that's what this takes. So I get it. A lot of people will sit here and be like, they'd be saying it's not in front of a chalkboard, but like some sort of fancy car that they rented probably. But you get the idea, right? But all I'm saying is, if you do feel comfortable with somebody else, that's fine. Go with them. I want you to be and go with whoever you feel most comfortable with. But just consider that, if it's actually as easy as free, why are those failure rates? Why do so many people lose money as a trader? So that's what I want to go over here and just kind of point out, what I've experienced, why, like I said, I invested just shy of $5,000 into my real estate investing education. It was 12 deals in a row, or 13. I can't remember, but I had like 12 or 13 deals in a row that were profitable. Then either number 12 or 13 ended up getting me and I had to take a loss on it. Still a minimal loss, but the point being that $5,000 I invested it sped up the process, and it kept me and helped me avoid doing some really stupid things that would have cost me a whole lot more. And that made the $5,000 worth it in and of itself. But yeah, consider this stuff. If you're maybe struggling, if you're maybe not having consistency in your trading, my guess is your problem is the reason why you are losing money or just struggling to find any sort of uptrending consistency is you're getting good information out there, but there's some as part of that information, and all those things are adding up and causing you headaches. If you do have any questions though, not necessarily on the stuff that I offer, just questions in general, leave those down in the comment section below. Also hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. And as always, please check out the channel and hopefully you decide to ultimately subscribe. Thanks for hanging out. First off, thanks so much for watching the entire video. Real quick, before you go, I want to invite you to a live webinar, web class, training, workshop, online event, whatever you want to call it, but it will be me live revealing to you what I've discovered that has allowed me to transform myself from being an employee to being my own boss, including how I had only one losing day out of 73 days in total. I'm going to cover 3 keys that have helped me unlock profitable consistency within the markets. The first key is super weird, but in a productive type of way. The second key is super awesome because it quite literally is wired into our DNA as humans, making it very easy to use. But in a cruel way, this becomes a pitfall for many traders. I'll explain it all though, including how to avoid the pitfall that it creates for some. And yeah, the third key, when you hear it, sounds way too good to be true, but it's not, and I'll show you how it all works. Then at the end, I open it up for a question and answer session that is, again, totally live. Even if you can't make the live session, please still sign up as it will be recorded, and you can go back and watch the replay that I will send you. Click the image on the screen or click the link down in the description box so you can get the date and time and claim your spot, which I should note is limited due to the fact that this truly is a live event. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, I'll be seeing you soon.